So today we're going to be solving the week 7 math AMS quiz. It's really close to the periodics we did. Let's start. First question, it's asking us which of the following is equivalent to the given expression. So as you can see, this is a polynomial inside of a radical sign but with a plus in between it, meaning we cannot just take out whatever we want. We have to factor whatever we want out. So from this polynomial, let's take it as if it were a normal polynomial. 4xy cubed plus 16x squared y squared. But let's forget the fact there's a radical sign for a bit. If you want to factor anything out of this, what do you factor? Between 4 and 16, what can you factor? 4. You can. Between x and x squared, you always take what's less, the one with the lower exponent. So x. Between y cubed and y squared, we always take less, so y squared. What you're going to be left with is y, because you do y cubed, minus 2. 3 minus 2 gives you y, 1, so we don't write the 1. Plus 16 divided by 4 is 4. X squared divided by x, 2 minus 1 is 1, so we don't write it. Y squared with y squared cancels out. So you're left with this. Now we remove our old polynomial, and this is our new one. We'll put back the radical sign that we had. Now, what this means is you can separate it into two different radicals. So 4xy squared times y plus 4x. Now, in this one, we cannot take out anything more because there's a plus sign. But in this one, 4 can be rewritten as 2 squared times x times y squared. Now, we know if it's a radical sign, we can take out anything squared or anything to the power of an even exponent. So here, 2 squared, when you want to take it out, it becomes 2. Y squared, when you want to take it out, becomes y, and then you have x left. So now, your new polynomial is 2y radical x times y plus x 4x. Now, we can't keep it as two different radicals. What we do is 2y, and then we have to expand the x into the y plus 4x. And then what we do is 2y radical xy plus 4x squared, and that is your final answer. As you can see here, that's how you got it. Now, that's it for this question. Let's move on to the next. So here, they're giving us a triangle, and we have to use the tri-ratios to find tan of theta. Now, first of all, we have to analyze the shape we have. The shape we have is 3 different right triangles. That's right triangle 1 in green, right triangle 2 in red, and oh my gosh, I moved it on. Anyways, and right triangle 3 here again in red. Now what they're asking us for is tan of theta. Theta is here, and we know that in the big triangle this is the hypotenuse. So tan of theta would be opposite leg over adjacent leg. But here in this case, we do not have the adjacent leg, and the only way to find the adjacent leg is by finding the rest of the hypotenuse. We only have one part of the hypotenuse. So how do we find this part of the hypotenuse? We have to use the ratios of a right triangle to find them. First, let's find the altitude because we need it. The altitude is this, by the way. How do we find the altitude? The altitude is part of this right triangle. In this right triangle, we have 2 out of the 3 sides. So the hypotenuse is 10 and one of the legs is 8. We know that 10 squared, which is hypotenuse squared, equals leg 1 squared times leg 2 squared, so x squared. I'm gonna write any times as a dot here. So 100 equals, oh wait, sorry, this is a plus, this isn't even a times, this is plus, my bad. So 100 equals 64 plus x squared. So x squared equals 36, leaving x to be 6. Some people are gonna say, can't it be also negative 6? Technically, in algebra, it can, but here it's a distance. A distance cannot be negative. A distance has to be positive. Hence, your only correct answer for this is 6. So now, we know that this side is 6. It's 6 here. So we have 10, 8, 6 triangle. Now that we know all the sides in this triangle, We also know from last year, we took this theorem that says altitude squared, so 6 squared equals 2. Part of the hypotenuse 1 times part of the hypotenuse 2, so 8. I'm gonna name this part y. So 8y. So altitude squared equals first part of hypotenuse over times second part of hypotenuse. So 36 squared, which is 6 squared, equals 8y. Y will be, let me do it really quick on my calculator. 36 divided by 8 would be 4.5. So this side is 4.5, making the whole hypotenuse, the big hypotenuse, 12.5, whatever the measurement is. Now, we know for theta, we need opposite, which we already have, 10, over adjacent, that is not the hypotenuse. So what's left for us is to find this green side here. This side in green, we need to find that. How do we do that? By using Pythagorean theorem again. So 12.5 squared equals 10 squared plus side green squared. I'm gonna name it g squared because green. So what's it called? 12.5 squared is equal to 156.25 minus equals 100 plus g squared, whatever. 12.5 squared minus 10 squared will give us 56.25. When you put that under the radical sign, we will get g equals 7.5. So we know that green side is now 7.5. So now we have everything we need. Now what we're gonna do is, again, opposite. So 10 over adjacent, 7.5. Put 10 over 7.5 on your calculators and you will get that it's equal to a fraction, which is 4/3. And that is your final answer. 4/3. Now, next question. The Bright Angel Trail is open to bikers all year around. These are PISA questions, by the way. But most visitors hike it during the peak season from May to October, a total of 184 days. During this period, about 400,000 people hike the trail. On average, how many people hike the trail each day? So if in 184 days, 400,000 people hike the trail, you need to do 400,000 over the number of days, which is 184. You're gonna get, let me really quick do it on my calculator, divide by 184, you're gonna get 273.9, so 274, 2,174. Here they didn't give you it in exact numbers, so they just wanted it rounded down. So around 2,170 people on average hike each day. So that's for the first part. Now let's move on to the second. The round trip along the Bright Angel Trail is about 21 kilometers. The whole trail, like from the hill up and down, is 21 kilometers. Hikers must complete the hike by sunset at 7 p.m. So hikers need to go up and down before 7 p.m. Alex wants to estimate the time he can hike up the trail at if he's going up 2 kilometers per hour and coming down by 3 kilometers per hour. On average, the descent is 3 kilometers per hour. The speeds take into account meal breaks and rest times. So using Alex's estimated speeds, what's the latest time he can begin so he can finish by 7 p.m. So what we need to do is we need to split the trail into two parts, the going up and the going down. And since you're going up and down, the up and the down are gonna have the same distance because you're hiking up the same path. So you first have to do 21 divided by 2, which is gonna give you that each half of the going up and down is 10.5 kilometers. So that's the length of your trail. Now we need to split the 10.5, and that's two different 10.5s we have, the going up and the going down. For the going up, we can go up the trail 2 kilometers per hour. So if it's 2 kilometers per hour and we have 10.5 kilometers, we have to split this one by over 2. And if the going down is 3 kilometers per hour, this one by 3. So 10.5 divided by 2 is gonna give us 5.25. And 10.5 divided by 3 is gonna give us 3.5. If we add these two numbers together, this whole trip needs 8.75 hours. So we know it needs 8.75 hours, but there's no such thing as 75 hours or 0.75 hours. What we do for that is, if it's 0.075 of an hour, we want that in minutes, right? So we put it over 60 minutes each hour. Hour cancels out with hour. 0.75 times 60 will give us 45. So this whole thing needs 8 hours and 45 minutes. So first, what we're gonna start off with is 7 p.m. Remove from it 8 hours. I prefer counting it down from my fingers, to be fair. So 7 p.m., that's when you need to finish. So 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 12, 11. Count it down on your fingers, genuinely helps a lot. So the 8 hours would make it 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. when you need to leave. But we remember, we can't have it only 11. We have 45 minutes. So you need to still do 11 minus that 45 minutes. So if you take away 45 minutes from 11, what I personally like to do is split the 45 into 30 and 15. So 11 a.m. minus 30 makes it 10:30. 10:30. Remove from it an extra 15 minutes, you're gonna be left with 10:15. And that is the time you need to leave by max. You have to have started by 10:15 or you would not finish the hike before 7 p.m. if all of his calculations were accurate. So that's how you solve this question. Now, let's move on to the next part. So Alex wore a pedometer during his hike up the trail. It showed that he walked 25,200 steps on the way up. Estimate Alex's average step length for the 10.5 kilometers in centimeters. So if he is taking 25,200 steps in 10.5 kilometers, how much is each step? So you have to take the 10.5 kilometers, but since they want the answer in centimeters, we have to make it into centimeters. So kilometers into centimeters. So 10.5 kilometers, first make it into meters, or just straight away make it into centimeters times 10 power 5. So 10.5, move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're left with 1,050,000. So doesn't matter the number. This is how many centimeters you walked up the trail. Let me rewrite it. 5. So wait, I forgot the number. Give me a minute. Okay, so it's 4 zeros after the 5. So now in each of those centimeters, for all of them, he walked 25,200 steps. Divide the two numbers on your calculator. So 10, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And divide by 25200. Oh wait, I put the number wrong on my calculator. 25200. You're gonna get that when you divide the two numbers, you're gonna get 41.666, whatever. They said to the nearest centimeter, so it means since 6 is bigger than 5, round up. Your answer will be 42. So almost each step of his is 42 centimeters. Okay, now let's move on. Now, the wildlife biologist Anna Martinez went on a year-long research expedition to study tropical birds colonies in the Amazon rainforest. She was particularly interested in the reproduction patterns and population growth of the macaws. Normally, a macaw couple lay 2 eggs in the breeding season. Typically, only 1 chick hatches successfully, and for the first egg approximately weighs 85 and the second weighs approximately 120. By how much percent is the second egg heavier than the first? So whenever you want to find a percentage or by how much of a percentage, you always have to do egg 2 or number 2, so 120, minus number 1 over number 1 times 100. So 120 minus 85 over 85 times 100. I'm just going to put that really quickly in my calculator because we get calculators in the exam. Guys, make sure to put it all in a fraction and don't put the fraction after, or doesn't matter, just make sure you put it in your calculator correct. So times 100 will give us 41.17 whatever, doesn't matter, around 41% when you put it in your calculator. This is the closest option to your answer. So that's how you solve the first part. Now let's move on to the second. Now Anna observed a colony of 8,000 macaws, 4,000 pairs, like 4,000 males and 4,000 females. At the beginning of the year, each pair successfully raised 1 chick during the breeding season. By the end of the first year, 15% of all the birds will die because of natural causes. How many macaws are there in the colony? So if you had 8,000, you added to them 4,000 pairs because each couple will give 1 kid. So there will be, if there's 8,000 and each couple consists of 2 people, half of that couple, half of the 8,000 would be 4,000. So there's 4,000 kids or chicks. So that would be 12,000 of them. That's 12,000 people in this colony. Now, they're telling us 15% of all of them are gonna die. So how do you calculate percentage? You're gonna do the total number minus the percentage, so 12,000 again, times 15%, or yani 15 over 100, and it will give you, when you do that into your calculator, 102. Wait, let me do it really quick again to make sure if it's like minus 12,000 times 15%. How the hell did I write 10% in my? So you're gonna get 10200 are there gonna, at the end of the first year, 10,200 of the birds will be left in the colony. So around 1,800 of them died. So that's how you solve for the second part. Now for the third part, and arguably the one that needs the most focus, this is what you're gonna do. So Anna predicts that the colony will grow as follows. At the start of each year, the colony consists of an equal number of male and female macaws who form pairs, and each pair raises 1 chick per year. By the end of the year, 15% of all the birds will die. 1-year-old macaws also form pairs and raise chicks. Based on these assumptions, which of the following formula describe the total number of macaws after 5 years? So we need to make the formula. Now, first of all, we need to find out how much is the population increase. What's the ratio of the population increasing? So we know that each year you start off with 8,000 macaws as adults, like the adults, and each year they will make 4,000 kids, and together they will be 12,000. So once you do, so since there's each year you start off with 8,000 and you make then it will become 12,000. 12,000 divided 8 means you have a 1.5 percentage or 1.5 ratio increase each year of macaws. So you will take that 1.5, and we need to find how much of that 1.5 will survive, because not all of them will survive, because we know 15% will die. So if the ratio is 15%, can be rewritten as 0.15, by the way. So if the probability, they're asking you for the probability that they're gonna survive. So if the probability of them dying is 0.15, 1 minus 0.15 is gonna be the probability of them surviving. When you do 1 minus 0.15, you're going to get 0.85. That's the probability that they survive. So that's the probability you're going to take. So 1.5, 0.85 of them, or 85% of them, are going to survive. So now that is how much is going to survive. Now you want it over 5 years. Since it's over 5 years, you put the exponent, the years is going to be your exponent. And what do? This is your survival chance. This is your probability for survival chance. And we have to multiply the probability of surviving by how much macaws we start off each year with, which is 8,000. The 8,000, we get it from the previous part of the question, by the way. And that's your final formula to find over 5 years how many macaws are gonna be there. Total number. So your total number of macaws times their survival rate and chance. And that's it. That's your option. Now, let's move on to the next question. These questions alone took really long to solve. But don't worry, they're not going to take you this long in the exam. Okay, this question is telling you that the given equation has two roots, x equals a and x equals b. They want ab. Don't go try finding each root alone and then try multiplying them together. No. What does ab mean? Do you want the product of the roots? We know product of the roots equals c over a. But first we have to rewrite it in a form ax squared plus bx plus c. So let's distribute the 5 into the entire equation. So 5x plus 15. And now we need to distribute that again into x plus 4. All equals 20, by the way. So 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times 4 is 20x. Plus 15x plus 60 equals 20. We always know that we need our quadratic formulas to equal 0. So what we're gonna do is 5x squared plus 20 plus 15x is 35x plus 60 minus 20 is plus 40 equals 0. Now we know we can simplify the entire equation by 5 on both sides, but you don't divide 0 by 5 because it's going to be 0 either way. So 5x squared plus 7x plus 8 equals 0. And we know the product equals value c over value a. C is 8, a is 1 because the coefficient of x squared is 1. So 8 divided by 1 equals 8. And that is the value of AB. Now, let's move on to the next one. This is part of IG math. And we took it in physics last year. So, yeah. A train started from rest at 7. The train accelerated for 5 minutes to reach the point of v kilometers per hour. The train maintained the speed for 45 minutes and then decelerated for 10 minutes. Between 7:50 and 8, it decelerated at the speed of 0 kilometers per hour to reach the speed of 0 kilometers per hour. The distance traveled is 63 kilometers. Now, to find the distance, we know we need to find the area of the shape. That's how you find the distance of anything. And as we can see that the shape is a trapezoid. And the area of a trapezoid is equal to big base plus small base over 2 times height. Now, the height is v, the thing we don't have, the velocity or the maximum speed. That's the height, but we need to find it. They gave us the distance, we need to find the height. So 63 equals, which is your area, distance is the area, equals big base, which is from 7 to 8, so 1, plus small base, which is from 7:05 to 7:50, that is 45. But again, that's 45 minutes. Our entire calculation here is in hours. So 45 minutes, to convert it into hours, you have to multiply it by the hour thing. So 60 minutes is 1 hour. Minutes is going to cancel with minutes. 45 divided by 60 is going to be 0.75. So 1 So your small base is 0.75 hours. All of this over 2 times height. Now, once you're gonna do 1.75 divide by 2 on your calculator, you're gonna get that 63 equals 0.875 h. H will equal, you're gonna do what's it called, 63 divided this number, 72. And that's how you get the answer to the first question. Now, since we know the answer to the first question, that the maximum speed is 72 kilometers per hour, so V is 72. Now they want the average acceleration during the first 5 minutes. So during this part only. Now, how do we find that? 5 minutes times 1 hour over 60 minutes. So minutes is going to cancel with minutes. And 1 hour is 5 minutes is 1 over 12 of an hour. Personally, I'm going to leave it as a fraction. I feel like it'll be easier to work with. Now, we know that acceleration equals speed over time. So speed is 72 kilometers per hour times, by time, which is 1 over 12 of an hour. So 72 times 12, in the end, you're going to get that when you divide them. Or just divide 72 divided 1 over 12 on your calculator. Times 12 is going to be 864, which is your answer. By the way, 72 divided 1 over 12 is the same as 72 times 12, so you don't get confused. So that's how you solve your entire thing. Now, moving on to the next question. Okay, so now for this question, they want us to solve this using the quadratic formula. So we know that delta equals 4b squared minus 4ac. Now b is 2 squared is 4, minus 4 into ac. So a is 1, c is negative 6. So 4 plus 24 will give us 30. So delta equals 30. And now that we know that the roots are equal to negative b plus minus radical delta over 2a. So the roots are equal to negative 2 is positive 2 plus minus radical 30 over 2a, which a is 1, so over 2. Since, sorry, 30, where did I get 30 from? 24 plus 4 is 28, my bad, guys. So here they gave us the 2 and the 2, so you didn't have to factor out anything. You just put delta in the box. That's it. Moving on to the next question. Now the roots of this equation are, we need to find them. Again, use delta and the discriminants quadratic formula. So delta equals 64, which is b squared, minus 4 into a is 1, c is 2. So 64 minus 8, which is 56. Now alpha is gonna equal, the roots are gonna equal negative b, so negative 8, negative 8 is positive 8, plus minus radical 56 over 2 times the coefficient of x squared, which is 1, so 2. Now, what the hell did I do? Now we know we cannot cancel any part of the top without factoring it out. So to factor it out, we need to take a part of 56 out. So 56, we know it is made out of 56. When you divide it by 4, you're gonna get that it's 14. And 4 is a square, so it's technically 14 times 2 squared, which we can take out the 2 squared, it becomes 2, radical 14. So technically it's 8 plus minus radical 2 over 2. We can factor out that 2, so you're left with 2 into 4 plus minus radical 14 over 2. So 2 goes out with 2, you're left with 4 plus minus radical 14. And that is your final answer. Now, next question, which is almost the exact same thing. Negative, we need to find delta, so b squared 64 minus 4, 60. Now, negative b, so b is negative 8, so negative 8 is 8 plus minus 60, or radical 60, over 2 times the coefficient of x squared, which is 1, so 2 times 1 is 2. Now we need to make it 4. The only way to make this 4 is by factoring it out with whatever is 60. 60 is made out of 15 times 4. By the way, anytime you see if it was 8 and it turned into a 4, know that you factor out a 4 from this number. So you divide this number by a 4. So 60 is made out of 15 and 4. 4 is 2 squared, so you take out 2 squared, or like 2. So plus minus 8 over 2. Now we can factor it out, so 2 is into 4 plus minus radical 15 over 2. 2 will go away with 2. You're going to be left with 4 plus minus radical 15. That's how you get this answer. Now on to the next question. Okay, so for this question, again, the shaded area in the diagram below represents a road of uniform width x around the park. The area of this road is supposed to be 800 meters squared. So what is the area of this road? We know area is length times width, but we know this road doesn't have this interior. The road's width is x and its length is x. So we need to find that x. So what's the area of this road? It's 800 equals 40 plus these two sides, which is 2x. So 40 plus 2x times the width, which is 30, plus these two x's, so 30 plus 2x, minus the inside. The inside is another rectangle that's made out of length 40 and width 30. So all of this minus 40 times 30 is 1,200. So what we do is we distribute, so 800 equals 40 times 30 is 1,200. 40 times 2x is plus 8x. 2x times 30 is 60x. And 2x plus 2x is 4x squared minus 1,200. And that's your formula. We know 1,200 will cancel out with 1,200 because it's 1,200 minus 1,200, which is 0. You're left with 8x plus 60x is 68x. And then you have 4x squared. Wait, is it 8x or 80x? 40 times, sorry, this is 80x, my bad, I copied it down wrong. So this is 140x, my bad. So plus 4x squared plus, or well, there's no plus because you cancelled out whatever constants you had. So equals 800. We need to make it all equal to 0. So 4x squared plus 140x minus 800 equaled to 0. And we need to divide everything by 4 because you need the coefficient of x squared to be 1. So divide everything by 4. It becomes x squared plus 140 divided by 4 is 35x. 800 divided by 4 is 200 equals 0 because 0 divided by 4 is 0. And now they're asking you what's the value of k, which is the coefficient of x. Coefficient of x, as we can see in our formula, is 35, and that is your answer. Now, let's move on to the next question. So you have two solutions. The solution to this equation is given by this formula, which is a quadratic formula where a and b are constants to be determined. What is the value of b? So b is just delta. So delta equals b squared, 21 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1 times 11, or negative 11, which becomes 21 squared minus, or plus, sorry, 44. 21 squared is equal to 441. So delta equals 485. And if we want to write it in quadratic formula, it's gonna be negative b squared, so negative 21, so it's 21 plus minus radical 485 over 2 times the coefficient of x squared, which is 1, so 2 sad. Now, why didn't we not factor out anything in this equation? Because it remained over 2. And the a, we do not know it, so we don't know if they wanted it factored, since we don't have the a. Since we don't have the a, and we know it's still over 2, you just give it this part of the answer straight up, 485. Now, next question. The sum of the roots and the product of the roots. Sum of the roots equals negative b over a. Product of the roots equals c over a. Memorize these formulas. By the way, in the exam, our algebra exam periodic, they asked us to prove this. And a lot of people in my class or in other classes didn't know how to prove it. The way you prove these formulas is literally by finding your roots. You find the roots. You solve the quadratic formula. You find both x's. And for the sum, you add them together. For the product, you multiply them together. And it was asking us to prove them. So you'd have to show it that negative b over a is the same as when you add the two roots together, and that c over a gives you the same answer when you multiply both of your roots together. That's in case, let's say, they bring it in our finals. But anyways, moving on, and they might give us a retake, hopefully. So the sum of the roots, which is negative b over a, negative b, so negative 39, over a, which is 3. Negative become positive, so you're left with 39 over 3, which equals 13. And then product, this is sum. So product equals c, which is 18, over a, which is 3, which equals to 6. So those are your two answers. Now, let's move on. Okay, so here are these questions about bearings. A car travels from station X. So you have station X with the north bearing here to another station Y, which is 2,500 meters away from X on a bearing of 210. Now, we need to know one thing about X, that we need to draw the rest of the coordinates for X. So this point here is X. Now, we know that Y is on a bearing of 210, and we know that this here is 90, this is 180 degrees, this is 270 degrees, and this is 180. So realistically, 210 would be 60 degrees away from 270. So somewhere around, like, let's say here, and here you'll find point Y. Actually, it's more, like, accurately, it would be somewhere here. So this is your point Y, and we know it's at a distance of 2,500 meters away. Now they want, what is the distance due west? Due west means on the west axis, this one. That's the car travels. So what you need to do is you draw a perpendicular line from Y to west. So this would be a 90-degree angle. Since this is 90, and we know that the distance between 210 and 270 is 60 degrees, making this side 60 degrees. So leaving this one to be 30. So this is a semi-equilateral triangle. We can use the rules of a semi-equilateral triangle to solve this formula. They want what's the distance due west. So this distance, this is what they're asking for. They're asking for, actually I'm not going to name it X, I'm going to name it Z. to avoid confusion. So they're asking us for z. Z is the side opposite to 30, isn't it? And we know that in a semi-equilateral triangle, the side opposite to 30 is hypotenuse over 2. And since our hypotenuse is 2,500 over 2, you'd get 1,250. And that is our answer. Now, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so this question here is asking us another questions about bearings. The bearing of B from A is 66 degrees, but they now want the bearing of A from B. So what can we see here? We have here a parallelogram. What do we know about parallelograms? That the distance on parallelograms is for the sides that are supplementary to each other equal 180, and sides that are opposite to each other equal are the same. So opposite sides are equal. Supplements are the sides that are supplementary to it are 180. So that's the rules of parallelogram. Now what do we do here? What we do is we draw the coordinate plane on B. So exactly from point B, you'll draw the coordinate plane. Now, since this is 66, I'm just going to erase this one for a bit. We know that this one must be 180 minus 66. 180 minus 66 would be 114. So this distance here is 114. Okay? Now, they want the bearing of A from B. If this here is our 270 line, they want this angle right over here. But by the way, my sketch isn't that accurate, so let me make it more accurate. They want A from B, so they want this distance over here. Now, this distance here is 114. We already found that. So, what is this distance, which is B from A? It is practically 360, which is a full circle, minus the 114. So 360 minus the angle supplementary, which is 114, will give you 246, which is your final answer. Now, so what we did was, again, let me simplify it. We found this side by using the properties of a parallelogram, found this to be 114, and subtracted that from the rest of the 360. This part we found to be 246. Now, moving on to the next question. Okay, so from the top of a cliff, the angle of depression of a boat on a sea is 42 degrees. The horizontal distance of the boat from the foot of the cliff is 100 meters. Now what we need to draw here is we have a cliff. This is our cliff. The top of it, I'm going to name it T. The depression of a boat at sea is 42. So this is your boat. From the top of the cliff to the boat is a 42 degree angle. So here, it's a 42 degree angle. And the distance of the boat from the foot of the cliff is 100 meters. By the way, my cliff is placed wrong. This is the cliff. So this distance from the foot of the cliff is 100 meters. They want what is the height of the cliff. So they want what is the red side here. Now, what we know that this is a right triangle. And that in a right triangle, this side is equal to tan of 42. Or like the tan of 42 is equal to opposite over adjacent. So tan 42 equals opposite, which is the side we need, x, over adjacent, which is 100. Tan 42 in the table, they gave it to us as 0.9. So you can replace this by 0.9. Now 0.9 times 100, x equals 90. 90, my bad. So x equals 90. And that is it for this question. It's really easy, these questions, if you focus. Now, we have 4 questions left. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, for this question. Now, what is the value of z if y is 100? Now, for this question, we need to find the value of this side, z. Let me draw it as a straight red line. Now, what do we know about this triangle, the big one? It is a right triangle, right? Yeah. And what do we know about this triangle, the blue one here, as you can see? It's also a right triangle. So, what we can find about this triangle is that this side here is 50 because they gave us the right angle and they gave us 40. 90 minus 40 is 50. And what we can find about big triangle that's green here is that this is 90 and this is 26. So 90 minus 26 equals 74. Wait, no, let me check. It's equal to 64. Yeah, it's equal to 64. So if the whole thing here, this whole green angle is 64, and that part, the small part is 50, so 64 minus 50 is 14. So this part is 14 degrees. Now, we know all our sides, so this whole thing is 64. Now we have everything we need to find the values of y and, the y they gave it to us, sorry, my bad, 100. Now we can find x. What is x? X is, what's it called? It's the hypotenuse and, sorry, x is, my bad, it's the opposite of 40. And 100 is the adjacent to 40. What can we do when we have only the opposite and the adjacent and an angle? We do tan 40 equals opposite, which is x, over adjacent, which is 100. They gave us use tan 40 to be 0.84. So 0.84 equals x over 100. So x equals 84. So we can change this x here to be 84. Now we forget that we have a small triangle and we only look in the bigger picture. So this angle 26 equals 84 over hypotenuse, or z plus y. So tan of 26 equals 84 over the side adjacent, which is z plus 100. Tan 26, they told us to use it as 0.50 equals 84 over z plus 100. So what do we do here? To make it only z plus 100 on one side, we divide both sides by 84. But that genuinely confuses me, so what I do is just multiply both sides by z times z plus 100 times z plus 100. Then you cancel out these both from this side, and then you divide so z plus 100 equals 84 divided by 0.5, which is 84 divided by 0.5 is 168. So we can replace this by 168. So z equals 168 minus 100. Z equals 68. And that is it for this question. Now that's it for this question. Let's move on to the next. Okay, the bearing of P from O. They want this part. P from O. Now we know this whole part is 90. They gave us this part is 57. 90 minus 57 equals 33. That is it. Now let's move on. Okay, here we have to do the exact same thing, just a little more steps because it's, They want the distance of P from O. So what they want is this part. This part is 360 minus 133, which gives us 227. And that is it. Now, last question, which again is a distance time graph. Now, they want the average speed between 9:30 and 11:30. So they want this. So to find the speed, we do speed, big speed over small speed, or speed 2 minus speed 1. So 300 minus 150 over time taken. They wanted kilometers per hour. So this, how many hours is between 9:30 and 11:30? It's 2 hours. So your answer would be 150 over 2 equals 75. So that's your speed between 9:30 and 11:30. Now they want the speed between 7 and 9:30. Oh my gosh, I hate when this happens and I can't get rid of it now. I'm just gonna solve with it there. Forget it's there. Now, the average speed between 7 and 9:30 is, so here's 7 and here's 9:30. You want the average speed between the two. So what we first do is that, so we know between 7 and 9:30 is 2 hours and 30 minutes. 30 minutes is half an hour. So how many hours totally? 2.5. So, or 2.5. So 2.5 of an hour. That's your time. You reached a maximum distance of 150. So 150 divided by 2.5, which is your time, will give you 60. And that's how you get your second answer. And that's it for this quiz. Hope you had a nice day. Bye.